Hi, I'm Todd.
I'm Sophia.
And that's Stormy.
And
we are the Spindrift Empire. And we're coming to you today from the water in Mitri Lake. Yeah, I just want to get away from the shoreline here. Need to keep Sophie in the shot, though.
Don't forget about me. Alright, I'm clamped on.
Alright. So we're coming to you today from Mitri Lake in the Colorado River on the border of California and Arizona. We've been here for just about a week now, and we thought we would talk about the Colorado River. So I'm going to let Soph start by talking some facts and stuff, and I'm going to see if I can get us out a little bit so that the shot is a little bit more interesting.
The Colorado River is the main source of water for 7 western states. It's like Utah, Nevada, Arizona, California, Colorado, and I believe New Mexico. Yes, one more. There's another one out there. I just can't think of it. But anyways, that wasn't too bad. So in the early 1900s, when people are starting to move out here, and water is life out in the desert, so it was a matter of dividing the water up amongst the 7 states and bringing in dams to make reservoirs. And the 3 major uses of the water of the Colorado River are agriculture, industry, and domestic uses. So it's interesting because we've spent most of our time snowbirding down here in the Southwest along the Colorado River Basin because, you're out here in the dry desert and water is life, and you want to see the animals, you want to see the birds and be a part of that ecosystem. So it's been really important to us in our travels, and we really enjoy it here. Hi, dog.
It also brings people, and it makes for larger population densities, which makes life easier for us because that means that we can go shopping and we can get our supplies. So that's nice. Our very first time, I'm just going to get this paddle and I'm going to put it away. There, this way I can stop messing with it. The very first time that we spent any length of time in the desert was in February of 2012. We were leaving Montana and we were going to Colorado to go work on Rendezvous Organic Farm. We had to leave Montana in February because the lease was up, and the job didn't start until the end of April, so we had a couple months to kill, and we started looking into ways to do that, and that was when we discovered the concept of dispersed camping and public lands, and that was the beginning of everything. It was the beginning of all of our travels, really, in the snowbird realm of things.
Knowing that you could go out and live for free in an environment that wasn't harsh at all in the wintertime.
Right.
It's pleasant temperatures. You're looking at like 70-degree days if you're lucky, and 40-degree nights. And you tough it out a little bit, but for the most part, it's very pleasant. And I would say because, water is life out here, over the past several decades, these 7 western states have been growing exponentially as the population increases. There's cheap land out here because, you're going from mining industries, which was initially what brought people out to the West back in the day. And it changed. The economies are always shifting, going from mining to industry to agriculture. And now a lot of these states, especially Colorado, for example, is becoming, a domestic-based, population there. So they're wanting to start, laying fields fallow in some of the farmland to expand, make room for the growing population. California is looking to basically double its population by mid-century. So, going from 36, what was it? It was like 360,000 people to 600,000 people, I believe. So
Where?
Just this entire state of California.
36 million?
Maybe it was 36 million. Yeah.
I say there's probably 360,000 people
No,
in one
you're right.
neighborhood
You're right.
of
That
LA.
was silly. Okay, like let's just cross out that last couple sentences. I was reading a couple articles, and sometimes they get jumbled. But
Yeah, let's pretend we edited.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's beautiful in a land. The Sonoran Desert, which is what is in Arizona, is one of our favorite deserts. It's very pretty. It has the saguaro cactus, which is just stunning, and it's a lot of fun to camp under the behemoth cacti. The Mojave Desert is much more drab, much more bland, just because it doesn't have as much life. It's a lot drier, and this is the zone in between the two, and it is beautiful. I mean, we're on a lake. It's the end of January, and you couldn't ask for better weather. We've been out here almost every day paddling. There's a few lakes, including a Ferguson Lake just north of here, and there's so much opportunity for watercraft and water sports. There's military base around here. There's a chopper coming up over us, and we get to see a lot of really cool aircraft go by.
We're also right next to the Yuma Proving Grounds, and
A lot of bombs go
pretty
off.
much every day you can see bomb clouds going up. It's kind of cool, like it's not interfering with our time here, and that land has been dedicated to the military for decades now, so it's better to keep it concentrated in one area.
Our campsite here at Mitri Lake is incredible. We have a flat parking area for the trailer and for the truck. We have our own personal jetty, which we're kind of floating around.
Right now. Oh boy.
Not really showing it very well, but
just trust that it's cool.
It's
awesome.
amazing. It hooks out to the right at a right angle, so we've got our own jetty and harbor, and that harbor brings in the ducks, and we've got a tent set up and a chair set up so we can watch the ducks. It's been just very peaceful, very relaxing, and very pleasant being here, and we both really have enjoyed it. And because of that, because it's so popular, it's limited to 10 days per calendar year within the Mitri Lake Wildlife Management Area.
Which is kind of, another point is like when you have this resource, a valuable resource of the water and the ecosystem around it.
Here, push off there. Let's try to turn a little bit. We're getting the
Which
sun
way?
at our back. Try to push your bow out.
Okay.
Perfect.
Speaking of like the 10-day limit here to limit the use on the resources, what this episode was originally going to be about was long-term visitor areas, which are known shortly as LTVAs.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a really nice one called the Imperial Dam LTVA north of here about 10 miles. And in those areas, because they're really popular with day use, with camping, and because it takes a toll on the land, the agencies like the BLM set aside these larger tracts of land, and you can pay, most of them are $180 for 6 months of use or $45 for 2 weeks. So if you're looking for a place to like hang out that's got some vault toilets, for example, there's showers at the LTVA and the Imperial Dam.
Yep.
So,
which has been fantastic.
yeah, and not all of them have that. It's because it's a recreational and an LTVA area, so you get lucky there. But there's a boat ramp. There's actually large paved parking lots that you can get recreational permits to stay at for a certain amount of time.
Yep.
In addition to the LTVA. So
the way it goes, the progression, the evolution is untouched raw land, and then people start to become interested in it because it's beautiful and it has recreational opportunities. So then you start getting dispersed camping, where folks will set up campsites, and it's pretty unobtrusive and it's pretty non-damaging. And then it will become very popular, and then you start getting developed campsites. And developed campsites will often have no facilities and no services, but they have a road that goes through them, and they have established sites, and there's often a camp host. After a developed campsite gets the next level of attention, turn us around again. The water is turning us so that our backs are facing the sun, and it's backlighting us and really making us dark. So we're constantly having to try to adjust. Awesome. And keep ourselves facing the light. That's one of the problems with filming on the water. But anyway, so as it becomes more and more and more developed, it damages the land more and more. And that's an unavoidable thing. Once the land reaches a certain level of damage, then an LTVA is considered, where they just say, okay, there's no more nature really here. Let's pave it, put in plumbing, and then people can pay to stay here permanently. And then for every person who's sitting in a campsite for 6 months, that is 12 times they don't have to move because of a 14-day limit. So it's great for the retired, the elderly, the permanent snowbirds. A lot of people live that way permanently.
And a lot of the sites that have been turned into LTVAs are more easily accessible than some of the dispersed camping areas.
Paved all the way.
Yeah, some of them. But
them.
like the one side's paved, the other side, there's all kinds of hills. It's like every person, the way the land has, created all these hills and stuff, each person has their own little hill they're camped on. So, from LTVA to LTVA, there's a lot of variety, and there's still nature to see. It's just a little more regulated, and it's a great place to get a start, especially if you want to be around other people and have some company. If you're if you're telecommuting even, it'd be a great place to know you have a, safe haven for 6 months that for $180 you have a claim to, and people are able to set up kind of more long-term camps, like shade tents and stuff like that. Some people have like little decks going up into their campers. It's really pretty neat.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It's great. It was prettier than I expected the first time we went to go see it, and that's cool. And I like that, and it makes me realize that in the years to come, we may find ourselves at one when we just don't want to be moving constantly. So with all that said, we wanted to take a moment here at the end of the episode and just sort of update the whole job search thing. As of this week, the shutdown has ended. Temporarily, who knows what the future holds, but while the shutdown is ended, people are just working really super hard to get the hiring process completed. We've been talking to an awful lot of people, but we've been interviewing. At one point yesterday, we were both on our phones doing interviews on opposite sides of the camp. So
it's getting pretty crazy. It went from nothing to like an overflow.
Yep.
And
0 to 60 and nothing.
It's always hard because it's like, you get these opportunities, you get choices. It just, do I go with the safe one? Do I go with the one that's going to, bring one of us forward? Do we go with the one that keeps us both at the same level, but we both have jobs? I'm starting to revamp my landscaping resume just in case I have to go to a place where there's not a government job for me. I'll fall back on my skills as a landscaper and, carry on from there. So it's just a matter of adjusting, and this is always a weird transitional time, so wish us luck.
yeah, and we'll keep you updated when the job is landed and it's time for us to move. That'll be the end of season 1. So on that note, we're gonna go ahead and end it. The dog is exploring, trying to get to us. She always wants to get to us, but then she is so bad in the boat. When we had a canoe, she flipped us. So that's why we got rid of the canoe and got kayaks, because they're so much more fun. And now that we're in the water, we'll probably go for a brief paddle. So in the meantime, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.